All right, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome today to the Daily Data Structure and Algorithm Show. Hello, Ransom. How are you doing? I'm good. And you? How is your health? How are your children, your wives, your family? Today I'm not like in full energy mode to stream. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit devastated from my daily activities. I have had a bug I could not solve, and it's been messing with my mind. So, like, I can't properly, think. So, I just randomly chose some questions to solve, and yeah, wishing you strength. Oh, thank you, Akbere. That's nice. All right. Oh, is Ransom not here? Nice, nice, nice. Ransom, the family man. All right. Let's get started. Um, so I solved a couple of questions the other day, and I think I'm just going to do that now. Let's like really review some things and then solve one question. I'm not really feeling the stream today, honestly, and I can't skip a day. I need to show up every day, right? Regardless of how I feel, and solve at least one question. That was my promise. So let me stick to it. Sticking to the plan. Okay, so yesterday I solved a couple of questions. Let's go back to those and see what they are. Uh, so, now wow, enough is enough. Okay, so let's see. I'm sorry about that, guys. I just had a quick distraction. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm trying to pull up some questions that I did yesterday. Apparently, you can't see that in OBS, so I'll just do it here. I solved binary trees, range sum, and one. I solved one string related problem, right? I'll be. Let me see. Oh, I would have gone through this today, but I don't know. I'm not just feeling well. Okay, you know what? Enough of the complaints. Let's solve this question, right? And then we can learn one or two things along the way. So, this question is lead code number 1337. The k weakest row in a matrix. You are given an n by n binary matrix mat of ones representing soldiers and zeros representing civilians. The soldiers are positioned in front of the civilians. That is, all ones appear to the left of all zeros in each row. A row I is weaker than a row j if none of the following is true. The number of soldiers in row I is less than the number of soldiers in row j. Both rows have the same number of soldiers and I is less than j. Return the indices of the k weakest row in the matrix ordered from weakest to strongest. So we are given a matrix, and our matrix has zeros and ones representing the soldiers and zeros representing the civilians. So in the case where there are more soldiers than civilians, we consider that row to be a strong row. And if there are more soldiers in a row compared to the remaining rows, then that row is the strongest row, and the ones that have less soldiers are the weakest ones. All right, so yeah, so ideally that's what the question is asking us to do, and we are to determine which of the rows. So we determine the weakest rows, right, and then arrange them in from weakest to strongest row. So meaning we'll use their indices, right? We'll use the index of each one of the rows. So in this case, this will be row 1, this is row 2, row 3, row 4, and then row 5. So K simply means how the number of rows we should return, right? So um meaning we have to you know we are not returning all the rows, but we are returning the K weakest rows, right? So K is simply as a second input in this function, and it means how the amount of rows we need to return, right? So let's take a look at this question and see what we can do. I will take the first example, right? I'll just copy this, and then we can go ahead. Okay, these are the things I did from the days prior. So let's erase the board. I think we've used those ones enough. So we can, you know what? Let me not erase the board. I can just scroll down and continue from here. Shift paste. Okay, so here is our rows. We are given rows like this. So we have rows from so this is the first row, the second row. You know what? This is not what I wanted. Okay, yeah. Exactly. So this is better now, I think. All right, so here's our rows, and each rows has a certain amount of civilians, and the other ones has uh you know I mean a certain amount of civilians and soldiers. All right, so let's see if there are any questions in the chat. I've been carrying some notifications, so let's take a look. um yeah, Michael Jordan. Hey, how is your blood fresh? All right. Okay, that's just ransom being funny. Okay, let's continue with the question with the problem. So we have our inputs, a certain amount of rows, and the each rows represents um the a certain amount of soldiers and civilians. So we want the strongest row. The strongest row is the row that has more soldiers than civilians, right? So in this case, we can do something like this. We can say here would so what we need to do is to iterate through the entire matrix, right? And then find out the number of rows, I mean the number of soldiers in each row. So that's all we need to do in this case. So we find the number of soldiers in each row. So in this case, we have 2 soldiers, right? We can either count or just simply sum the array, right? Since these are zeros, if we sum everything in this array, we'll end up with the actual number of soldiers in this row here. So in this case, we can do something like this. So to determine the amount of soldiers in this row, we just sum the integers in the row. So we'll have 2 here, right? So we use sum this row, and then this will return 2. So we'll have 2 like this. If we add every integer in this row again, this is 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 here, and then here we just have 1, and here we have 2. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5. So as you can see, the weakest row here is this row, right? So this is the weakest. This is the weakest, and if we're to return this in a sorted order, it will be like this. So it will have 1. And okay, so here's one thing we need to do. We are not returning the actual amount of soldiers, but we return the indexes, or the indices of the rows. So this will be row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, and then row 4. So we'll do something like this. So the weakest row here is 2, so we have 2, and we have after 2 we have 0 and 3, so we'll put 0, 3, right? And so 4, which is 1, and 4 here. So this would have been the order in which we return the rows, right? So, and these numbers here simply represent the index or the position of the rows in the matrix. Now you can see these are the borders of our matrix. So we have here to here. So these integers you see in this array are the indexes of each row, the position at which each row is in. Now let's read the question again to understand one more thing. Return the indexes of the weakest rows in the matrix ordered from weakest to strongest. The indices of the k weakest rows, right? So we want to return a certain amount of rows. Now another thing we need to notice here is that a row is weaker than a row I is weaker than a row j if one of the following conditions is true. So if the number of soldiers in row I is less than the number of soldiers in row j, both rows have the same number of soldiers and I is less than j. And as you can see, in this case where the rows are equal, the number of soldiers are equal in 0 and 3, right? We return the weakest one. The weakest one will be I, right? I is simply the first integer or the first row we visit, and j is this point. So when we are iterating, we can just use I and j as the different ones. So here is our j, here is our I. So we can put I before j, and then we continue with the rest. Now we want to return the number of k weakest rows, right? So meaning we are not returning the entire row. We want to return the k weakest row. So k will be of a certain value. So in this case, k is equal to 3, right? So in this case, k is equal to 3. So we'll iterate and return 3 rows, right? So we are going to return 3 rows. So this will be our iteration. We'll use a for loop and then start from we start iterating. So from 0 to 1 to 2, right? Our iteration will stop here. So this is the row we need to return. So return 2, 0, and then 3, like this. So here's our final answer. And yeah, so we'll pass on to the code and see how we'll write the code for this problem. But before we do that, I would like to know if there are any questions Otherwise, we can continue with the problem. So there are no questions. Okay, so let's continue. Um, no spectacles today. I don't know where I dropped my glasses. I do not know where I dropped my glasses. Yeah, so let's get started. Hello, Dan. Okay, so we have to create a file for our problem. Let me close all of these. We have to create a file. This is let's go to what 27. Okay, 1337. Let's code 1337 k weakest row. So we'll do that. Let's code 1337. Let's dash 1337 dash. Okay, let me use smaller case. Let's dash 1337 dash k dash weakest row. Okay, this is going to be fun, because actually I had I had tried solving this question before, and although I knew what I could do, although I knew what I was supposed to do, I was lacking a bit of strategy, in the sense that I needed to, you know, in the sense that I needed to, um, what, how do I put this? So at the time, I actually did not know a lot of Python syntax. Yes, let's put it that way. And I was struggling a bit to like put together the solution. But anyway, that's a an old me story, but here is a new me, so we continue with the new me now. So I'll copy this part of the question, which is what I normally do and I usually do, and I'll put this here. So we need a list of, so we need the list module. So we'll import, okay, from lists. Oh, so from typing import lists, right? So we import the lists, and now our errors are gone. So the first thing we need to do is to first find the sum of find the sum of find the total numbers, or the total number of soldiers in each row. So that's the first thing we need to do, and we can do it this way. We can create a variable called total, or we just call this soldiers. Yeah, so let's call this total soldiers on each row, right? So that will be a list. So we have to return a list for this. So in order for us to do this, we can say sum, right? We return a sum of every value in the math matrix, right? So we'll say this is going to be sum every value in the matrix. We'll do some soldier, right? Some soldier for soldier in maths, right? Okay, so I wrote soldiers instead of soldier, right? So this will return an array of the sum of each. So you know what, let's test this out in the playground and see what it looks like. So I'll bring the playground here. I usually like testing out things to see how they work. It also helps you understand what's happening under the hood. So let's copy this here, right? We can copy that and bring it here like this. Come on, you need to format yourself. Okay, you know what? Let's see if this is going to format the file. Yeah, okay, everything is gone. So our matrix is there. And we can do something like this. We can say um total. Let's just call this total, and then we'll put an array here. We'll say for, okay, we'll say sum. Now sum at, if we did something like this, let me print this out. If we did print sum of math at 0, then it will return the entire sum of values in the array, right? So let's run this again. Hold on. Oh, sum of maths. Yeah. So what? Wait. What's this? This does not make. Okay, so math is a matrix, right? So if we do math at 0, then we'll have the first array. Hold on. Why do I need to do this? Print print sum, right? No, so print math at 0, right? Wait a minute. What is this? Math is a matrix, right? Meaning the first item should be. I don't understand. What's going on here? Wait a minute. This is not. Oh, uh, Dan said the Leets code, the description on Leets code is not clear. Well, yeah, kind of. So they want us to return the weakest row, right? The weakest row is the row with the least amount of soldiers, right? So why is math at 0 not returning? Let's wrap this quickly. Soft wrap. Hold on, soft wrap did not work. How? I mean, we have a matrix, right? I see. You know what? I don't even need the entire thing, so I'll just bring this down here. Why is math at 0 not returning the first item in the array? This is strange. What's going on? This is a matrix, I know, but to get the first item in the matrix, right? Am I missing something? Is what's going on? I don't understand what's happening. Wait. First, what's happening to me? Math at 0, right? And then print first. Print first. What? Nah. What's going on? I mean, if I wanted to print, wait a minute. Maybe math is something else, right? Hold on. Print math. Math is a matrix, so the first item in math should be an array, right? What? Okay, I'm seeing this, which is, oh, you know what is the problem? You can see there's a comma after it, so it transforms it automatically into a tuple. Annoying. Jesus. Okay, now we are back on track. Oh, so sorry. Yeah. So now first will give us the first item in math. Okay. Wow. That was actually funny. So in Python, when you put a comma after something like this, it automatically transforms it into a tuple, right? So yeah, that was the mistake I made. Yeah, is exactly. So we can do something like this. So we can sum the values here, right? So we find the sum. Now you can see this will give us 2, right? So we can use a list comprehension, which is what I did here, to find the sum of every, to find the total number of soldiers in each row, right? So we just say, you know what, we can do something like this. So total is going to be sum. So I'll comment this part. I don't need this anymore, so let me remove that. Sum of soldier, I'll say, let's call this, so okay, let's call this S for soldier. So sum S for S in math, right? Then this will return the total. So let's spell this correctly, total, and then I'll print total. Now we'll have the sum of soldiers in each row. So for row 1 we have 2, row 2 we have 4, row 4 row 3 we have 1, and so on, right? So with this we know already which row is the strongest and which one is the weakest. Let's see what do we have here. Let me see what important thing. Yeah, it's actually important, right? Anyway, so let's continue. So we found the sum, we found the total numbers in each row, right? And now all we need to do is to sort the row from weakest to strongest. So to do that, we can simply use the sort. So we can just say sum, we just sort this like this, right? Okay, this is returning none because why is it that? So total dot sort like this, and then total will be sorted. Okay, now you can see we have the weakest to the strongest row, but something weird will happen in this case, right? We want to return the rows themselves, not the total amount of row, right? So not the total amount of soldiers. We want to return the rows, so the index at which we found the total. So, well, mm, so here's an interesting one. Um, so what if, so we want to keep, you want to keep track of the index. So sorting will automatically mutate or change the position or the index at which we found the weakest, right? Initially, when we didn't sort this array, we had one, and the total at the appropriate indexes, right? But after sorting, we lose that the actual or the original position of the number of soldiers in each row. So okay, so one thing we can do is to keep the originality of the rows is to um what if, so here we can use the indexes, right? We can get the index and store the index alongside the um alongside the sum, right? So we store the index alongside the sum and then sort the total based on the values and still keep the index. So here's what I mean by that. So instead of this, we can say this. We can do this. So let's say we use the enumerate function and we return for math, right? We put math here. Okay. And what if let's run this again. So we needed to do this. So, okay. Key value pair. Int is not iterable. So we can do I here like this. Okay, so we have I. Alright, we have I here and we can store this with it. So we say, so this will be I, that's the key, and this is the actual value. We'll put S here, so say S, and we will do something like this. So let's store I alongside it, so we can have a tuple, right? So you can see we have two is at index 0, 4 is at index 1, and so on, right? So we can say we sort the array, right? So you can see after sorting, we still did not lose the originality. One was found here, right, at index 2, which is here. So we still have that original version of the arrays. So, and we need to, we can also indicate by which value we should sort it with, right? So we can do something like this. I think you can pass it a key, right? A key which is going to be a function that returns a value. So we can say, something like this. So we can just define a function. Or another thing we can do is to use a lambda function. It's been long I use a lambda function, but let's say x, and then we want to sort by x of 0, so the first value. Okay, so this is still working. So we have the weakest to the strongest rows. Okay, so the next thing we can do is to so we iterate and we return only the indexes, right? So in this case we return 2, 0, and 3 if k was equal to 2. So let's say k is equal to 2. I'll put k here. K equals to, sorry, k was 3, right? In this example, k was 3. So we can iterate and return only these indexes. So we say for the values in total, right? For values in total, okay. So you know what? I'll just print those values and see what I can do. So print the values. Okay. Alright, so we have each value and their appropriate index. So You know what? We are not iterating for every value in total. We are iterating for every value up to k, right? So we can say for I in range of k, right? Then we do something like this. So I'll just remove this part. I'll just print total at I, right? This will return the actual index, I mean the actual values. So if we did something like this, so I at we want to return the second value, so which is 1, right? So we can have 0, 3 and 1. Okay, but what if we simply did this? What if we, since this is an array, right? What if we print, we slice the string, right? What if we slice the string, we slice the array, sorry. So we have k, we have total. So we start from here, 0. So we just do this all the way to k, right? Print total all the way to k. So we can have total here, right? I'm just thinking of possible ways to shorten the code. And okay, so with this we'll have okay, we can do a list comprehension, right? So we can say print I, right, for okay, so for I in this, right? So print I, okay, let's say print I, print like this. Okay, we want 1. All right, so I think with this we can solve the question. Sorry guys, I was just trying out what will actually work. So anyways, yeah, this will be our solution. So let's implement it here. So we get the sum of values. So I'll just change this for soldiers in enumerate. So we'll say enumerate. Here we need to get the total numbers of soldiers in each row and keep track of the row at which it happened, right? So let's say who is Kokozida? Hello. You can't do that if edge case when k is superior to number of row in math. So the question actually ensures that k is always less than. So when you look at this, k is always less than the amount of rows we have in math, right? So you can see this is the rows in math, right? So m. So you can see k is less or equal to m, right? So this edge case has been handled already, right? So we don't need to manually, indicate for every values for k. That is, we don't need to think about k being superior to the number of rows. K will always be less or equal to the number of rows we have. Yeah. So let's continue. I will say total here. Yes, exactly. It is a good question to ask the interviewer. Yes. So because lit code has it here and I read it already, then I just automatically, did not think about it. But in an interview, right, we might not be given this constraint and we will have to ask the questions, right? Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. All right, so let's continue. So we'll find the what's this? Okay, so the return value. Okay, so this is the total number of soldiers, right? We need to sort the array. So we'll say here, just the way I did it here, we can sort it like this. So we'll say total soldiers dot sort, right? Sort, and then we need a key to sort our array. So we use a lambda function. We use a lambda function that takes the tuple. I'll call it x, or let's call it okay, let's call it soldiers. You know what? I want a more descriptive variable name. I don't know why it's so hard to choose variable names. It is really, really hard for me, at least. But anyways, let's call this soldier tuple. I'll just put tuple here, right? This will be our array, and then we want to sort um based on the actual total number of soldiers in the total array, right? We are not sorting based on the index. So this lambda function has to return x at 0. So we'll do that here. So say soldier tuple, this is a tuple, right? And then we want to return 0, so the first one. And then after sorting, right, we can just return an array of, so say so what did I do here? So okay, so we can say I'll just call this row, right? Return the row, the second tuple value for row in total soldiers, right? For row in total soldiers, but we don't want to return everything. We want to return up to k, so we slice the array here. So let's run this. Okay, we don't have anything because we are not calling the function, so let's do that here. I'll say my solution is going to be equal to solution class, and so we say print my solution dot k weakest row. We take this, let's take this input, and then we'll pass it k, which is equal to 3. Okay, so let's print the answer, and we have an error. So here, some soldier we are using, okay, this is where the error happened. So we need here, we need to return the tuple. So this is going to be like this. Okay, so I think now we are good. Yeah, so this is the array we'll return at the end, and let's print this out. Let's test this in this code. I hope there are questions. Okay, there are no questions. Over 5 years. Nice. Okay. So let's print this solution. Let's test it out in its code. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so our test cases worked. Alright. Let's Wait, there is something else. Do we need to know? Is there anything else we need to be careful of? So math, there is always you know, rows in math. N is equal to math at I, the length. So math N and M is between 2 and 100. Okay. All right. So let's see. Now, the time complexity for this solution is going to be here. We are doing this right. Um, we are iterating through the entire array. This is already O of n. We are creating a new space, which is also O of n space. And in this case, sorting is like, hold on, time complexity for sorting algorithm, I think is in logs, right? Time complexity for sorting algorithms, I think it should be in the logs. Oh, O of n squared, I thought it was log count. O n log n. Oh, sorry, there are some questions here. How long have I been programming? I'll say, when is this? And 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Yeah. So what if weaknesses are unique? I don't get it. What if weaknesses are unique? What does that mean? Can you elaborate a little more? I did not say 20 years. I said 2.5 years. So yes, n log n, right? That's true. I think I should do sorting algorithm. I've not learned sorting algorithm yet. Anyways, the 100 days is not enough to learn all the data structures you need, right? So let's submit this and see what we have. Wilfred is better than me in full stack. Well, I do full stack, but I'm not sure I'm better than you. Anyways, but yeah, I do full stack as for work. So, what if the strength of soldier is unique per role? The strength of soldiers is unique per role. Okay, so meaning we have different strengths for the soldiers. Is that what you're trying to say? As in, we have, or is it the total strength of the total amount of soldiers per row? I'm not sure that's what you meant, but I think what you're trying to say is maybe we have, like, instead of ones, right? We have different strength levels for the soldiers, right? Well, in that case, we'll still be able to calculate the total by just summing up every strength of each soldier, right? Because the cumulative strength makes up how strong the row is, right? So again, we can still sum up each row, each number of soldiers in every row, and then find out which one has the least amount of total, right? And then that will be our weakest row. Yeah. Yeah, I've been working on. I actually have an issue right now, and on how to upload file to. I mean, on how to run a Lambda function on S3. Apparently, when you try to use the AWS SDK on the in the Lambda environment itself, it does not recognize it, right? Depending on the node version you are using. So there is, and I saw a long list. Let me show you guys. This is a real issue AWS has. So I'll just pull it up quickly. Let me show you. It is crazy how, you know, there are some issues that are not supposed to be issues, but you know, anyways, here we are, right? There's an entire discussion over 3 years on how to resolve this issue on AWS, and it is crazy. It is really, really, really crazy. Yeah, so if you look at this, right? So here is it. Here it is. So hold on. Nah, this is not the file. This is not the problem. The actual problem is on AWS, and I'll show you. I'm coming. AWS size with boot. AWS is going to give you headache. Real one. Basic amplify AWS amplify issue. I am coming. If anybody knows how to solve this, I would really appreciate an assistance, because I have an issue with this. I will even ask the problem in the. So let me show you. Where has it gone? Uh, so history, we have 8 tabs, 23 tabs. I think this is where it is. Yep. So this is the problem. Yeah, so when you use AWS Lambda, you might come across this issue, and it is really annoying. So make AWS SDK available with ESM in AWS Lambda. So apparently, when you run, let's say, a function like this, right? We have this code, right? When you set this as a Lambda function and you try to execute this in your AWS environment, then this will run. It will tell you AWS SDK is not is can it cannot be found, which I really don't understand why. But when you look at this, right, see an entire discussion about this issue from 2002, right, up until now. There is no concrete solution to this, right? Everything here does not work. At least some might work for you, but like for now, I have not gotten to the point where any of these solutions have worked for me. At least I've not tried all of it, but the ones that I found, close to interesting, I tried them, and yes, guess what? They do not work. So, anyways, I'm looking to continue my work on this, and yeah, so hopefully I find a solution for this. Otherwise, you guys will have to help me. If not, I'm not going to stream. I'm not going to stream again. All right. Okay, guys, thank you for uh being here today. It's been an amazing stream today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers, everybody. Oh, Dan said I should use Azure. That is another pain. Huge pain in the ass. So, anyways, all of them have their different levels of pains, but we stick to some for now. All right. Yeah, that's all, Ransom. That's all. I'm tired. I have to solve this issue before tomorrow, so I need to go back to work now. Anyways, thank you guys for staying true. See you tomorrow. Cheers. And stay coding. Keep coding. Keep coding.